Hello and welcome to the first set of oral presentation posters for the Week of the Nurse 2015. This is Suzanne Beels, and she has been working with Carilion Clinic since 1994. She started her tenure here as an LPN after graduating from Roanoke Memorial Hospital's School of Practical Nursing. She has devoted her career to lifelong learning, graduating with her master's degree in nursing education from Jefferson College of Health Sciences. She has obtained her critical care certification from AACN. She has worked as a nurse manager and patients with strokes and now vascular services. She serves on many hospital-wide committees and projects such as In Step with a Nurse, Vascular Leadership, Medication Communication, BLS Instructor, and Clinical Practice Counsel. So please welcome Suzanne Beels.
So our poster presentation was regarding medication communication. As you know, all of our reimbursements as well as our patient satisfaction scores are based on how well the patients rate us when they call in, when they are called up and asked how their hospitalization was. PRC scores was the focus behind the medication communication project. The benchmark for the patients understanding what their side effects are is 76.67%, and we were running significantly below that. So obviously we wanted to try to come up with a program to improve our communication with patients so that when they got home they understood why they were on medications, what the side effects were, and hopefully they would take them more regularly. The project method, of course, we started out with the routine literature review, seeing how other hospitals were handling this, what their medication communication scores look like. Our first goal was to improve the HCAP scores, the PRC scores. Our steps to that were to train, measure, and promote. Under the train section, we wanted to make sure every patient interaction provided us an opportunity to give them information about why they're on the medication and what the side effects were. All of the frontline staff were educated on the components of this project. First of all, to get their buy-in. Second of all, to understand what our actual goal was. We wanted the nurses as well as the managers to hold each other accountable for the scores. In measurement, we knew that communication about medications was not common. It wasn't something that was ingrained into our everyday routine. When we were educating everyone about how to do this, we wanted them to try to make it as part of their routine steps. Just like when you come in the morning, your routine is you get a report, you start talking to your patients, you start performing your assessment of that patient. We wanted it as part of your medication administration to start talking about what those side effects were. At the time we were trying to roll this out, we were doing routine rounding. Some of the units had champions for this, and some of the units had managers or team leaders doing the rounding. But when we would round, we would kind of sneak up on people a little bit, stand outside the door while they were doing their med administration. We would hear the stuff that they were doing. It gave us an opportunity, first of all, to coach if we saw anything that didn't seem like they hit the highlights that we wanted them to hit, or if they missed some of the scripting. We actually had this laid out in scripting, so they were using the word side effect every time they talked about it. How easy is it for you to say, well, this medication might cause? All of us have done that, right? You'll go into a room and you'll handle a medicine and think, okay, well, you don't want to get up because this morphine's going to make you a little bit dizzy. When you walk to the bathroom, you want a nurse to be with you. That's a common thing. We don't say side effect. So one of our goals was that it was scripted, that side effect was going to be the word that you said. And through rounding, we were able to coach staff in that direction. Additionally, it gave us a great opportunity that when we heard someone really sticking to that scripting, we were able to say, wow, you did a really great job with that, gave some really good positive reinforcement. And believe it or not, when that positive reinforcement happened in front of the patients, even the patients remembered their conversations about side effects because they realized how important the manager or whoever was kind of doing the spying on the nurses. It gave them a chance to realize we really do think that this is important, and so they paid even a little bit more attention. Promotions was the next thing. We knew that rolling this out, that obviously the hospital has a lot of initiatives each year. We try to accomplish a lot of things in a year's time. And so when we rolled this out, we thought we really need to promote this as something that we want to ingrain into our culture. We don't want it to be something that's the flavor of the day, something that's a passing thing. We wanted it to stick. Some of the things that we use for promotions, I'll flip to the next slide real quick. Some of the things that we use for promotions were these little pill containers. We gave these to each one of the nurses, and different units handed these out in different ways. Some of the managers or the coordinators for their area would just kind of hand them out so that everybody got one, they saw them. Some managers took them to their staff meetings or unit council meetings, and they would ask questions. So inside of this container, and you see it talks about medication communication on the front, is a pill container. The pill container has M&Ms in it. Well, we all know that chocolate is a motivator for nurses. So it was a really good thing to talk about, ask 3, teach 3, and make communication during staff meetings. And when somebody answered a question right, oh, they got M&Ms. So that was a motivator for them to kind of pay attention during the staff meetings when we talked about it. Additionally, each one of the nurses got a little gift box. Everybody looked at it and thought, what is in that little gift box? The first thing it talks about the do's and the don'ts. And then it talks about ask 3, teach 3. It wants to know, have patients teach back on their own words. What does teach back mean? Does anybody know? What's teach back?
The patient teaches back to you.
The patient teaches back to you. So you go in and you talk a little bit about the side effects using the scripting. This medication is given to you for whatever reason. The side effects are X, Y, and Z. A few more minutes into the conversation, it's easy to say, so do you remember what the side effects were we talked about? What kind of things are you going to look for? It's also a great opportunity with the husband or wife. Obviously, families want to be involved in their loved one's care. And so you may be having this whole conversation with your gentleman patient who's in the bed. Well, their wife's obviously listening in on that conversation. Perfect opportunity to look over at her and be like, did you understand the side effects? Tell me what you might want to watch out for when you guys get home. That's teach back. That's making sure that they heard what you're saying. Buy-in for teach back was a little bit hard to get right off the bat. One of our staff members was actually, and this has been a nurse who's been around Carilion for 20 plus years. She went in, did a fantastic job, went through the scripting, told this patient about his inhalers. They did demonstration teach back. He understood everything great. About an hour later, she went in to administer another set of inhalers that this guy had, and she asked him while she was in there, do you remember what side effects we talked about the last time I was in here? He had no idea what she was talking about, and she was devastated. She was devastated because she knew that he knew it. He had taught it back the first time, but it takes patients 3 to 6 times of talking about side effects for it to actually sink in to where they understand. So these little cards are little pocket cards for the nurses. They can carry them around, talks about teach back, talks about what resources they have available. The other part of it was the little gift box. The little gift box has got a colored ribbon on it. The idea behind the colored ribbon was that the nurses were all put on a team. We all like competitions. So all the nurses were put on a different color team, and it was based on what ribbon you got on your box. So it was very random as to who was in each group. At the end of the competition, as the people who went around spying on the nurses, listening in on their conversations, and of course a lot of times the nurses would invite us in, listen to me, make sure I'm doing this the right way, I want to know that I'm getting the scripting right. So they would go around and do rounds, and when we heard somebody doing a great job, we gave them points. And at the end of the promotion, we made sure all of the nurses knew who was awarded their certificate for doing a great job, who had the most amount of points, and what team won the most points. Having it as a team was a great idea. That gave the nurses an opportunity to hold each other accountable. Obviously, they wanted their teams to win. Inside the box is an Ask 3, Teach 3 button. What do you think that prompted? If the nurses wore that, is a patient or a family member going to be like, what's that all about? Of course it is. That's what we wanted. We wanted the patients to ask us questions, and this gave us a chance to explain to them what was going on. Up on the display, we've got a notes and questions pamphlet that actually gave them places to take notes. We put one of those in each one of the patients' rooms. A lot of the units who have an admission packet would automatically just put that in with their admission packets. That way when the nurses did rounds, they were able to jot a few notes down. The patient or the family member could jot some notes down, and it reminded the nurses, because it was always sitting there on the bedside table, reminded them, oh yeah, I need to go back and teach about that if I haven't done it already. On the bottom picture is a picture of a styrofoam cup, and we've put these stickers out to where the coordinator or the nurses could grab a sticker and put it on the front of the cup. So if you were in a patient's room and you've explained side effects, an hour or so later, they might pick that same cup up and be like, I know she told me about side effects, but I don't remember what she was talking about. And this reminds them it's important. They're your side effects. This is going to impact you when you get home. So it gave them a chance to remember to say, hey, what was this thing about again? Tell me about it again. So it involved the patient in it as well. In addition to some quick reminders, we did some things like posters. There's larger ones than this, but we did multiple posters. We have them hanging a little bit of everywhere on the units who decided to do this program. Ask 3, Teach 3. What kind of 3 things are you trying to teach your patients? What 3 things about medicines do you want to teach them?
What they're taking it for.
What they're taking it for.
What it's called.
What it's called, what the medicine is, right?
And the side effects.
And what the side effects are, right? So you want to ask 3, and you want to teach 3, and you want them to teach it back. 7-Pill was also part of this. That's our pharmacy hotline. The pharmacy hotline is available 24/7. So if you get a patient who has a lot of questions, somebody that the nurse really isn't, first of all, able to spend a whole heck of a lot of time with, because they're having more questions than we have time to accommodate, or they're having questions that are kind of a little bit beyond us, or they want to know follow-up wise what kind of care they're going to need. This is an opportunity to pull pharmacists into the mix. Teaching is not only the job of the nurse. The teaching is the job of the physician. It's the job of the pharmacist. It's the job of any therapies that are in that room. So this gave us another resource. 7-Pill is available on any hospital line. And then in EPIC, we also included Ask 3, Teach 3 in the education section so that you could document what education you provided. Promotional materials, you can find those on Inside Caroyan on the intranet. So if anyone hasn't had this program implemented in your unit yet, you can definitely implement it. I'm going to move on a little bit. The pilot for this program was 5 West Vascular ICU and PCU, 9 Mountain ICU, and 9 Mountain PCU. They're great resources for you. And like I said, they all had unit-based champions, and the directors for those areas did rounding. This is showing our scores. When you look at the poster out there, you'll see that we did have some improvement on those scores. Our hospital-wide score actually improved more so than any one particular unit did, which was really interesting to us. And if any of you guys need projects for your area, anybody who happens to be going for CAP, and needs a project, especially if you've already implemented this program. This is a resistance level to action plan. This is part of the toolkit. If you get online on the intranet and pull up the toolkit, this impact level will help with sustainability. Sustainability has been one of our biggest issues with this project. It worked great while we were promoting and while we were rounding. It was, you know, the scores were shooting up. We were doing a great job, and we've slowly noticed them start to decline over time. And obviously, diligence makes the difference. What we've asked all of the areas to do is do this resistance to level action plan, go through, evaluate your staff, find out why your scores are slipping a little bit. And like I said, if you need a CAP project, this is perfect. This is going to keep your scores up where we want to keep them up. And like I said, this is also it's in the toolkit. So that's what's next. Ongoing monitoring, making sure we can sustain the scores that we have. Project ownership. It was originally through the medication communication. Now it's through nursing administration because we're trying to get all of the units to come up on this project. Hospital-wide implementation was November the 17th for most units, but not all inpatient units decided to jump on board. Challenges to this, new staff that are coming in, they all need to be just as trained as the nurses who were on the unit when we implemented this. And patient expectations and understandings change constantly. They don't know why they need to know this stuff unless we let them in on the big secret. Any questions? Thank you.